The trap beneath the stars. The sky was full of stars, but they gave no comfort to the girl crawling through the thick wild grass. Her name was Aria. She was not from Earth. Her skin had a soft violet glow in the moonlight, and her eyes shimmered like liquid silver. She was young, scared, and alone on a strange planet. Her clothes were torn, and her left arm had a deep cut still bleeding slowly. Every step hurt, but she kept moving, hoping anyone might find her. She had escaped from a burning wreck. The ship she was on had crashed hours ago. Everyone else was either dead or missing. Now she was deep in the wild cold, hungry, and unsure if she was even being followed. She heard a sound. A branch snapping. She froze, eyes wide. Her heart beat fast. Something was out there, but she couldn't see it. So she moved again, quiet, slow, careful. The wild was dark, full of strange noises, trees with twisting roots, and creatures she didn't recognize. Then it happened. Snap! Pain shot through her leg. She screamed and fell to the ground. Her ankle was caught in something hard. Metal jaws had locked around it. A trap. Her fingers grabbed the edges, trying to open it, but the teeth dug deeper with every pull. Blood ran down her foot. Her scream echoed into the trees, but no one answered. She lay there, shaking, tears running down her cheeks. The stars above didn't blink. They just stared down, cold and silent. "I don't want to die here," she whispered. Her voice was soft, broken. She looked up at the stars again and made a wish. Not out loud, just in her heart. A wish to survive, a wish to live. Then she heard something crunch. Crunch. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, getting closer. She held her breath, afraid to look. Afraid it was one of the hunters who destroyed her ship. She tried to crawl, dragging the trap, but it was too heavy. Her body trembled as the steps came nearer. Then he appeared, a tall human, dressed in dark clothes, a long coat torn at the edges. He had a gun on his back and a strange metal device on his wrist. His face was rough, his jaw tight, and a deep scar ran across his cheek. He stopped 5 steps away and stared at her. Neither of them spoke. Aria's chest rose and fell quickly. She expected him to yell, to shoot, to hurt her like the others did, but he didn't move. He just watched her like he was trying to decide something. "Please," she whispered. "Help me." Still he said nothing. Then slowly he walked over. He knelt beside her and looked at the trap. She closed her eyes, expecting pain, but instead she felt his hands on the trap. Strong hands, steady. Click. The trap opened. Her ankle was free. She blinked, confused. The pain was still there, but the trap was gone. He lifted her without a word. She tried to fight, but her strength was gone. Her head rested against his shoulder. She could feel his heartbeat. It was calm, steady. "Why, help me," she mumbled, her voice fading. He didn't answer. Darkness took her. She woke up to the smell of smoke. Not fire, just a small one. A campfire. She was inside a small hidden shelter made of metal panels and camouflage netting. The roof was low, and a soft light glowed from a lamp on the wall. She was lying on a blanket, and her ankle was wrapped tightly. She sat up fast, scared. But the pain pushed her back down. "Don't move," came a voice. She turned her head. The same man sat near the fire, his back to her. He was cleaning a weapon with slow movements. His coat was hanging nearby, and she could see old battle tattoos on his arms. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice shaking. He didn't answer. "I'm not your enemy." Still, silence. Aria looked around. No doors. One exit behind the man. She was too weak to run. Her body was still shaking. "I just want to go home," she said. Finally. He turned his head a little, just enough so she could see part of his face. "There's no going home from here," he said. Then he stood up, picked up a small pack, and walked out into the night. She was left alone again. But this time, something had changed. Someone knew she was alive, and someone dangerous. Had just saved her life. Aria didn't sleep. That night. She lay still under the thin blanket, staring at the metal roof above her. The fire had died, leaving only a soft red glow. The air smelled like smoke metal, and something else, something old and forgotten. The man had not returned. She didn't know if that was good or bad. Part of her wanted him to come back. He had saved her. But another part of her feared him, his silence. His eyes. That scar across his face. Her ankle throbbed. Every few minutes, she looked toward the exit flap, half expecting him to return with chains or worse. But no one came. When the first light of dawn touched the forest outside, the flap opened. He stepped in, calm as ever. In one hand, he carried a dead bird. In the other, a small metal box. He didn't greet her. He didn't ask questions. He just set the bird down near the fire pit, pulled out a blade, and started skinning it. Aria pushed herself up slowly, watching his every move. "Why did you help me?" she asked again. He didn't look at her. "I don't help people," he said. "Especially not aliens." She frowned. "Then why, you reminded me of someone," he cut in, sharp and cold. She waited for more, but he stayed silent. His hands moved quickly, cleaning the bird, placing pieces on a small metal rack, and setting them over the fire. The smell made her stomach growl. He didn't offer so she asked, "Can I eat?" He paused, then handed her a piece without a word. The meat was hot and rough but filled her empty belly. She looked at him again. His face was hard, skin weathered from years under sun and rain. The scar ran from above his left brow down to his jaw, deep and ugly. "What's your name?" she asked. He glanced at her finally. "Rek," she nodded. "I'm Aria." He said nothing. After the meal, he took out a small device from the metal box and started typing. Lights blinked on it, showing different maps and signals. He seemed focused, but Aria could tell he was checking for something. Or someone. "Are they looking for me?" she asked softly. He looked up. "Yes." Her hands shook. "Are you going to give me to them?" Rex stared at her for a long time. "No," he said simply. She couldn't tell if he meant it. The days passed. Aria stayed inside the shelter most of the time. Her ankle was healing, but walking still hurt. Rek rarely spoke, and when he did, it was only about survival, how to move, when to hide, how to eat quietly. She learned quickly that he wasn't just some wanderer. He was trained, military, maybe special forces. Every action he made was precise. Every sound he heard, he noticed. One evening, she found a small dusty photo buried in his gear. It showed a little girl, maybe 6 years old, with silver eyes, just like hers. She looked at him. "Is this your daughter?" Rek's eyes darkened. "She's gone." He said nothing more that night. The next morning, Rek woke her early. "Pack your things," he said. Aria blinked. "Why?" "Drones. Spotted in the sky. They're scanning. We move." She limped as fast as she could. Rek handed her a thin cloak and a mask that covered her glow. They stepped out into the cold morning forest. The trees were thick, but above them, a dull hum moved through the air. A drone. Rek didn't panic. He moved fast, staying low, guiding her through the roots and shadows. Aria followed. She didn't know where they were going, but she trusted his steps. They stopped under a cliff wall. Rek pressed a small device into a rock. A hidden panel slid open, an underground tunnel. He led her inside. The air was damp and stale. Old lights flickered on, lighting their path. "Where are we?" she asked. "Old escape route from the war. No one uses it now." "What war?" "The one your kind started," he said. She flinched. "I didn't start it." He looked at her. "No, but you carry its blood." Silence fell between them again. They stopped deeper in the tunnel, at a small rest point built from broken tech and rusted tools. Rek dropped his gear and sat. He looked tired for the first time. Arya sat beside him, unsure. I'm not your enemy, Rek. He didn't answer. She leaned forward. You said I reminded you of someone. Who? He looked at her slowly. She was taken by your people, a child like you. She screamed for help, but no one came. I was too late. I'm sorry, Arya whispered. I don't want your sorry, he said, standing up. I want to survive. He walked toward a door at the end of the tunnel. Before disappearing, he added, Rest while you can. We're not safe yet. And, just like that, Arya was alone again. But this time, she wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid of what he was running from. The tunnel air was colder now. Arya sat in silence, her back against the wall, watching the last flickers of the fire Rek had left behind. The quiet felt strange. After days of hiding, running, and bleeding, she had finally stopped moving, but her heart hadn't stopped racing. Not because of fear from the outside, but because of the man she now followed. Rek. He wasn't cruel, but he was not kind either. He moved like a man carrying a storm inside. Arya had seen pain before. She'd lost her home, her family, everything. But something about Rek's silence felt deeper, like his soul had been shattered long ago and never put back together. She looked down at her ankle. The wound was healing well. The bandages were neat and tight, and for that, she silently thanked him. Footsteps echoed. Arya quickly sat upright. Rek entered the small chamber with something wrapped in cloth. He dropped it between them. Food, he said simply. She unwrapped it, dried roots, some wild berries, and a small piece of cooked meat. You never eat much, she said, handing him a portion. I eat when needed. She chewed slowly. Where does the tunnel lead? Somewhere forgotten, he said. An old outpost. Not on maps anymore. We stay low until your people stop hunting. Arya hesitated. They're not my people anymore. Rek raised an eyebrow. Why? She swallowed hard. They left. Me, when the ship crashed, they sent no help. Maybe they thought I was dead. Maybe they just didn't care. Rek leaned back against the wall, arms crossed. People don't care. Not when things get hard. He pulled out a small black cube. A data drive. He rolled it between his fingers like it held memories he didn't want to relive. What's that? She asked softly. He didn't answer. Instead, he placed the cube on a flat stone, pressed a small switch, and a hologram flickered to life. A video. Old and shaky. Soldiers running through a burning field. Screams. Explosions. Then the camera turned and showed a little girl, no more than 6, with bright silver eyes. She was crying. Arya gasped. Yes, Rek said coldly. That's my daughter. He turned off the recording. They took her, your side, not to kill, but to experiment. She was different, like you. I'm sorry, Arya whispered, not knowing what else to say. She had powers, Rek said. They thought they could control them, use her as a weapon. Arya looked away, guilt pressing deep into her chest. I didn't know, she whispered. Not all of us wanted war. Rek stood up slowly. But you were still on that ship. A military transport, not a passenger ship. She looked at him sharply. I was trying to escape my role. I never chose it. I was raised for war, but I never wanted to fight. Rek stared at her for a long moment. Then, without a word, he turned and walked toward the next tunnel passage. Hours later, they were on the move again. The tunnel narrowed, forcing them to crouch. Walls were marked with ancient warnings, symbols from the old human wars. Arya touched one that looked like a broken sun. What happened here? She asked. Rek didn't look back. A massacre. Humans turned on each other before they turned on aliens. She frowned. Why do you stay here? I have nowhere else to go. They reached a dead end. Or at least, it looked like one. Rek pressed his hand to the wall, and a section hissed. Open. A cold blast of wind rushed in. Light spilled through the crack. Moonlight outside, but it wasn't freedom. They stepped into a new part of the wild mountains surrounded them. Tall cliffs, jagged paths, dangerous terrain. Safe from eyes above, but deadly in its own way. Rek pointed to a narrow trail. We move before sunrise. They won't follow this far. Why are they chasing me? Arya asked again. Rek's face was like stone. Because you're rare, she stared at him. What do you mean? You have energy inside you, bio-light. You can heal. Maybe even more. They want it. Both sides. Arya stepped back. I'm not a lab sample, Rek nodded. That's why I'm still here. She watched him as he adjusted his weapon, scanning. The cliffs with those sharp eyes. She wanted to trust him. But every time she got closer, he pulled further away. That night, she couldn't sleep. Instead, she wandered a bit near the edge of the rocky cliffside. There, she sat under the stars again. She looked up, remembering the night she made a wish. She never expected the wish to be answered. By a cold soldier with a scar and broken heart. She closed her eyes. Suddenly, she heard something, not footsteps. This time, voices from the shadows beyond the rocks. Her breath caught in her throat. Not Rick's voice, not human. They had been found, and this time, there would be no time to run. Arya crouched behind a rocker. Breath frozen in her chest. She had heard them voices in the dark, not human. Not Rek. She pressed her back against the cold stone and tried to stay quiet. The wild wind whistled between the cliffs, but she could still hear them. Whispers in a language from her world. Smooth, sharp, full of command. Her people had found her, but it didn't feel like rescue. It felt like a trap. Suddenly, a hand grabbed her shoulder. She almost screamed, but it was Rek. He pulled her down behind the rock beside him. His eyes were sharp, scanning the shadows. They're close, he whispered. I think they're mine, Arya whispered back. Aliens, I know. His voice was tight. Cold. She looked at him, confused. Then why are we hiding? Rek didn't answer. He pointed up the hill. That way, quiet, fast. But no time, he snapped. Gunfire exploded in the distance, not aimed at them. Not yet. Then a drone light swept through the air. They ran. The cliffs were narrow, the rocks sharp beneath their feet. Rek led the way, his body low, his steps silent. Arya followed, pain shooting through her healing ankle. But she didn't slow down. Behind them, voices shouted, this time human and alien both. A team. They had joined forces. That made no sense. Arya shouted through the wind. Why are they working together? Rek didn't stop running. Because they both want what's in your blood, she stumbled. You said they want me for healing. It's more than that now. Arya's mind raced. What else could be in her blood? They turned around a sharp rock wall and ducked into a narrow cave entrance. Rek held his hand out, stopping her. He pulled a small sensor from his belt and scanned the tunnel ahead. Clear. He let her go first. As they moved deeper, Rek finally spoke again. You're not just rare. You're proof. Proof of what? She asked. He glanced at her. That humans and aliens were never supposed to be enemies. You're a mix, Arya. Her eyes widened. What? Half human? Half alien? That's not possible. You think your healing came from your people? He said, voice low. It came from Earth, from us. Her heart pounded. Then why do they want me dead? Because people hate what they can't control or understand. They reached the heart of the cave. A small dome-shaped area where Rek lit a dim light. Arya sat against the wall, trying to breathe. The truth burned in her chest. Half human? She had never been told. Her mother never spoke of her father. She always believed she was just a soldier, trained for battle, nothing more. But now it all made sense. Her dreams. Her healing. Her different eyes. Rek leaned against the stone wall, listening. We'll move before sunrise, he said. This place won't stay secret long. She looked at him with new fear. Why did you really save me? Rek met her eyes. Because I was ordered not to. Her mouth fell open. You were a target. Your ship wasn't just attacked, it was marked. A message was sent before it crashed. I read it. Said you were on board. Arya felt sick. So I was hunted before I even landed? Yes. And you were part of it? Rek looked away. I was. Silence. Arya stood up slowly, heart racing. Then why help me now? She asked. Why lie? Rek finally looked at her again, and this time, his voice was softer. Because I saw you, trapped, bleeding, and I saw my daughter. She blinked back tears. I was a killer, Arya. Long before I saved you, I followed orders. Burned villages. Captured children, until I couldn't anymore. I ran, I disappeared. Arya's voice shook. And now I protect one. She lowered her head. For a moment, they just stood there. No war. No chase. Just two broken souls in a cave beneath the stars. Then the cave wall exploded. A blast of smoke and light sent them both crashing to the ground. Gunfire followed. Rek grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the back tunnel. The air was thick with dust. Figures poured in through the broken wall, a mixed squad of armored humans and alien scouts. One of them shouted, "Take her alive!" Arya screamed, but Rek pulled her down a narrow shaft just as a shot rang out and hit the wall above them. They crawled through mud and stone, the tunnel closing behind them. They came out hours later, somewhere high in the mountains. A storm had started, hiding them in wind and fog. Rek dropped to his knees, breathing hard. Blood dripped from a cut on his arm. Arya wrapped her arms around herself. They were hunted now, not just by one enemy, but by both sides. And the only one who wanted her alive was a human trained to destroy her kind. Thunder cracked across the sky. Rain fell hard and cold on the mountain ridge. Wind howled through the rocks, making it almost impossible to see or hear anything clearly. Arya shivered beneath her soaked cloak as she crouched behind a stone wall. Her ankle ached again, but she didn't say a word. Beside her, Rek adjusted his rifle with fast, trained hands. His clothes were wet, his hair slick against his forehead, but his eyes were sharp. Always sharp. They're still behind us, he said in a low voice. Arya nodded. She didn't need him to tell her that. She could feel it like a shadow on her back. She could sense the danger closing in. How far is the old outpost? She asked. Not far, Rek said. One more ridge. But they're closing in. Fast, he looked at her. Then we move faster. They broke cover and ran through the fog. The path was narrow, slippery, and steep. One wrong step meant falling into the black canyon below. As they climbed higher, Arya's breath grew shorter. She stumbled. Rek caught her arm and pulled her up. You said I'm half human, she panted. Is that why I feel different? Rek didn't answer. Is that why they want me? Still no answer. Finally, they reached the top, and there it was, a broken structure, half buried in snow and vines. The old outpost. Metal doors rusted shut, satellite dishes cracked and bent. But it was shelter inside, Rek said. He forced the door open with his shoulder. It creaked loudly. Dust and cold air rushed out. Arya stepped in. Her heart sank. It smelled like death, but it was safe for now. Rek moved fast once inside. He sealed the door behind them with a metal bar. Then he placed motion sensors near the windows and started checking the old generators. Arya sat against the wall, trying to stay warm. She looked around. The walls had deep claw marks, old blood stains. Signs of a fight long ago. What happened here? She asked. War. Rek replied simply. Yours or mine? Both. He managed to power a small light. It flickered, but it was enough. He pulled off his wet jacket and sat down near her. You saved me more than once now, Arya said quietly. I don't do it for thanks. Then why? Rek didn't answer right away. Instead, he pulled out a small case from his pack. Inside were medical tools, bandages, and something glowing softly. What's that? She asked. He held it up. A tracker. Her eyes widened. You tracked me? No, he said. Someone tracked you. I pulled this from your arm while you slept the first night. He crushed it under his boot. They've known where you were the whole time. Arya felt her stomach twist. All this time, I thought I was escaping. You were being followed. Used as bait, maybe, or worse. Suddenly, a loud ping echoed from the sensor by the window. Rek stood there. Here, gunfire shattered the window. Rek shoved Arya down as bullets flew across the room. Stay behind cover. He shouted. He returned fire, moving with perfect precision. One shot, one kill. But there were too many. Arya peeked through a crack. She saw human soldiers. And behind them, tall alien scouts, her own people. Both groups firing in the same direction. At them. What do they want from me? She whispered, voice shaking. Your DNA, Rek shouted. You're the missing link. A weapon. Or a cure. Depends who holds you. The side door exploded open. Smoke filled the room. They had no way out. Then something inside her changed. A deep, burning light. Her chest began to glow. Her skin pulsed with soft energy. Rek turned. What are you doing? I don't know. She raised her hand, and suddenly, a wave of white light burst from her palm. The smoke cleared. The attackers froze blinded. Stunned, Rek didn't hesitate. He grabbed her and ran. They escaped through a maintenance shaft, crawling in total darkness until the sound of gunfire faded behind them. Outside, lightning lit the sky. They collapsed under a large tree near the edge of the cliff. Both were soaked, bloodied, and breathless. Rek looked at her. That power, where did it come from? Arya shook her head. I've never done that before. I didn't even know I could. You saved us. She looked into his eyes. I didn't mean to. Rek looked away. Neither did I. They both sat in silence, surrounded by the sound of rain. After a long while, Rek spoke again. There's a place far from here. A hidden lab, one of the last safe zones. No governments. No armies, just refugees and rebels. She looked at him. You think I'll be safe there? No, he said. But you won't be hunted. And you? He smiled for the first time. I don't get safety. Thunder rolled again, but in that moment, between the fire and the shadows, Arya no longer felt alone. She was still hunted, still in danger. But now, she was no longer running blindly. She was fighting to know who she truly was. Asterisk the wind had slowed. The storm was over, but the world still felt heavy and wet. Mist rolled across the trees like ghosts. Arya sat on a large flat rock, staring into the fog, her hands glowing faintly as her energy settled. She didn't understand what she had done back at the outpost. The blast of light. It came from her, but not like anything she had ever been taught. No one told her she could do that. No one warned her that her blood could blind soldiers and stop death in its path. Rek was sitting nearby, checking his gear again, his face quiet but watchful. I don't know who I am anymore, Arya said softly. Rek looked up. You're something they didn't expect. That's why they're scared. Arya turned toward him. What if I'm dangerous? You are, he said. So am I. The only question is, who do you want to protect? She looked away. They moved again before the sun rose. Following an old path, they climbed higher into the mountains, heading toward a broken satellite dish Rek remembered from years ago. It wasn't far now. I walked with more confidence, the fear inside her slowly changing into something stronger. Not rage, not revenge, just focus. She had power unknown, wild, but real. She needed answers. Rek said nothing most of the way. But when they reached the remains of a communication tower hidden in a cave wall, he finally broke the silence. "You sure you want to do this?" She nodded. He opened the panel. It sparked with old wires and dead screens. "It's been off for years," he warned. Arya placed her hand on the side of the machine. Her palm began to glow. The lights flickered, then turned on. Rex stared. She smiled faintly. "Looks like I'm more useful than I thought." She scanned through the system, old logs, damaged files. One line caught her eye. "Secure uplink. Unknown beacon pending response." She clicked it. The screen blinked then. Words appeared. "Arya, if you're alive, we're coming." Her breath caught. She clicked to open the message fully. "You were never meant to be on that ship. They lied. They planned to dispose of you before your powers awakened. Do not trust anyone, not even the humans helping you. They will turn. Stay alive. Help is close. Zaya, guardian of the hidden lineage." Her hands trembled. Zaya, her mother's closest friend. Thought to be dead. She read the message again. And again. Behind her, Rex said nothing. That night, Arya sat alone, the beacon still glowing behind her. Rex stood near the fire, staring into the flames. His body still, but his eyes full of storms. "You knew, didn't you?" she asked. He looked at her. "You knew they were planning to kill me." He nodded. "And you didn't tell me." "I wanted you to trust me first." "Do you trust me?" she asked. He didn't answer. Arya stood. "You were ordered to find me, capture me, but you ran instead." "Why?" He looked tired now. "Because I've seen what they do to people like you. What they did to my daughter. I couldn't watch it again. You lied to me." "I didn't tell you everything, but I didn't lie." Arya clenched her fists. "They said not to trust even you." He walked forward slowly. "Then don't." Suddenly, the beacon behind her beeped again. New message. "Arya, they've sent someone else. A hunter named Kor. He's already near. He won't stop. He doesn't speak. Doesn't feel. He was made for one job and the last hybrid." She froze. "Rex, have you heard of someone named Kor?" Rex's face darkened. Instantly. "That's not someone. That's something. What is he?" "He's not alive the way we are. Half machine, half clone. No soul. They built him in the last war to track down gifted ones. They wiped out entire planets with him. And he's coming for me?" Rex looked her in the eye. "Then we don't." "Run." They spent the next hours preparing. Rex set up traps through the forest path, motion alarms, wire explosives, distraction flares. Arya helped, placing small energy charges in the tree's gifts from her own powers, which she was only now learning to control. The forest felt quiet. Too quiet. Then the sensors blinked. Movement. One figure. Fast. Silent. Rek pulled Arya close. "Don't fight him head on. If he finds you, run. I'll hold him." "No," she said. "Not this time." The trees shook. Then from the fog, a shape emerged. Tall, black armor. No face. Korr. He didn't speak. He just raised one hand and everything around him froze. Birds, leaves, even the wind. Arya gasped. "How's he doing that?" "He's bending time for short bursts," Rex growled. "Go, now." But she didn't move. Instead, she stepped forward. Her body began to glow again. But this time, the light was brighter, warmer. Korr turned his head, studying her. And for the first time, he hesitated. Arya stood in front of him, glowing, silent, unshaken. Korr, the hunter, moved like a shadow of death. His armor made no sound. His eyes weren't eyes at all, just a black mask with a single red line that pulsed slowly, as if waiting for her. Next breath to end. Behind her, Rex gripped his rifle tighter. Every muscle in his body was ready. But his heart beat with one clear fear. She might not survive this. Korr raised his hand. The world around them began to slow. The leaves hung still in the air. Arya blinked, her body heavy. Even time felt like it was freezing. Rex shouted something. It came out slow and distorted, like he was underwater. Kor stepped forward, silent and sure, reaching for her throat. Arya couldn't move. Then something inside her snapped. A sudden pulse of warmth, not fear, memory, she saw herself as a child, sitting under stars. Her mother beside her, whispering stories of old wars, of broken peace, and a promise never spoken aloud. One day, you will be the line between what was and what must be. And then she saw Zaya, her mother's friend, holding her hand as her blood glowed softly under the moonlight. You are not one or the other, Zaya had said. You are the bridge. Arya's heart burned, her chest lit with pure white energy. Not fire. Not anger. Truth. Time snapped back to normal. Kor's hand was inches from her, but he froze. The light pouring from her body wrapped around him, not attacking, not destroying. Just reaching. Kor tilted his head slightly. His red scanner blinked rapidly. His systems tried to resist, but something was happening. Arya stepped forward. You were made to end me, she said calmly, but I was born to stop this cycle. She raised her hand, and instead of blasting him, she touched his chest. Low hum vibrated through the forest. The earth felt it. The sky felt it. Kor staggered, and then he stepped back. Slowly. One step, then another. He looked at her, paused, and turned away, vanished into the trees without a word. Gone. Silence returned. Rek came running up beside her. You didn't kill him. I didn't need to, Arya said, voice soft. He could come back. She looked up at the stars. Above. No, he saw it. He felt it. Rek frowned. Felt what? That I'm not a weapon. I'm not their enemy. I'm the proof they all fear. That night, they returned to the broken cum tower. Riya activated the beacon one last time. New signal was sent. This time, not a cry for help, but a message to both sides. I am not yours to use. I am not yours to hunt. I am what you created and what you cannot destroy. If you want war, come for me. If you want peace, meet me at the ruins under the twin moons in 3 cycles. But know this. I am not running anymore. She sent it. Rex stared at her, both proud and cautious. Do you think they'll listen? No, she said. But someone will. 3 cycles passed. She waited at the ruins, an old battlefield where thousands had once died. Now it was just stone, sand and sky. Rex stood beside her. Then one by one, ships began to appear. Small ones, quiet, from both human and alien factions. Refugees, scientists, fighters, who were tired of losing everything. They didn't bring weapons. They brought questions. And hope. Arya stood among them. Half-human, half-alien. And fully free. No longer hiding. No longer hunted. Far above. The stars watched in silence. But this time, she didn't need to make a wish. She had become one, the star they all followed, the bridge between two broken worlds. The beginning of something new, the end.